This is Carlos, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was July 27. And this is what he caught. And I think Eddie was with him too, right? So Eddie caught one. All sort of look the same size, right? Then July 27. I guess this is when I done. That's September 1. That's Lucas. There's that side creek you was talking about, Carla. What's that?
They're just passing the same fish around.
Yeah, they are.
No, let them be. Come on. It's gotten older. It's come up later. It's grown.
So, fish the Gulf Edge shorelines, chuck out, and then you start hitting them. All of a sudden, the school of fish, redfish appeared. 20, 30, 40, I don't know. They're all stuck in the cut. We spent 2 hours catching redfish after redfish. All were 22 to 29 inches. So this is a description, and it's typical, okay? And so, Herman's postulating that they school out in the Gulf, and they come in, and that school moves up and down. So, again, this was Carlito on July 27th, and this was Lucas on September 1st. July, August. Okay, so that's 4 weeks, maybe, at the most. But I think they're moving up and down the shoreline. So I started, let me do a little research on it. And this guy here, hang on.
Did he ask you permission to show you? He didn't ask me.
I didn't plug in the speaker. Hang on.
You're flabbergasted. Both of you a bunch of children.
Where do I sign?
Let me find the speaker thing in my eyes. All right, now let's see what he does, right? This is a guy who fishes guides on kayaks. Matt Lachey, which is Fort Myers, Cape Coral. Looks like the same size, right? Similar. That one was red. Let's see if the one he catches is red. Was yours red? Yours was it copper or was it silver? I'll go back to the picture, right? Lucas is a silver. Yours is silver. Those are out of the Gulf. They're not mangrove.
I was seeing these big wide wakes, like 15 feet wide. What is this? It's a big shark or something. Finally, I got a little, high enough on the platform, I could see it. And it was redfish swimming parallel in the front. And they were green on top, a little sort of tan stripe right down.
This is about 2 weeks before you caught yours. Okay?
Oh man, he's under those mangroves.
Oh, maybe.
Like the intro with this guy.
Tell me more.
Right, it's right there. Alright, let's go. Can't let him do that again.
Down and dirty.
It's a good red, guys. Oh. Put it low. He's trying to get back in those mangroves. There we go. I lost a good one last week because I was just putting too much pressure on him. He's out here. Look at that guy. That's a good one. That is a very good rig. Whew.
He's going skiing now.
He's going for a ride, isn't he?
Good rig.
He's getting closer, right? I think he's got a trolling motor on there. He's going to get it. I think he's. It's taking him over there. There you can see the wash off his trolling motor. He's trying to get out of there now.
Banshee on him. He's almost ready. Look at that thing. Holy shoot. Big old drum here. Oh my god, what is it? What is that, guys?
That's copper there, isn't it?
This might be a PB. PB is 33. Oh my god. Wow. I don't even know where the paddle tail is. I'll show you guys which one it was.
So that messes up my theory a little bit.
What a monster. Look at that jig head. Sean, the jig head worked with that monster.
He's fishing insides. Matt Lachey, Aquatic Preserve. That's inside.
Your way. Big fish.
Yeah, but they're just looking around. They come around Pine Island and down into Matt Lachey. So,
Alright.
yeah, he looks like he's a backcountry one rather than offshore. That blows my whole theory. But anyway, he may be coming up to meet his buddies, right?
That fish is absolutely whipped. It's not doing anything.
Yeah, well, it drug his kayak around for 20 minutes, right?
I'm trying to show him off.
You too can hire him to take you out on your kayak.
He's 32, guys. 32-inch red. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, over the
That's it.
side.
Picture taken.
Well, they're tough. You can leave them out of the water for 20 minutes, they'll still swim away.
What he's about to do, you don't like to do in his right.
Let's get him back in the water now. Oh, ready, ready. You ready?
He better swim like that.
One more of those. There you go.
Go, baby.
Yeah, he's happy.
Woo. Going that way.
All right. So, just to share with you, right?
There's a fisherman.
There you go.
Right? Where's my settings? Well, how can I zoom? There we go. Okay. Similar redfish. That one's also, by the way, copper colored, isn't it? And that was 10 years ago. And we're sitting there, and they're just streaming under us. Okay? And just to complete the picture, right? Oh, here I am. Okay, and we caught them, and just quit catching them, and just sat there and watched them swim by the boat. There were so many of them, and they were,
He kind of lives in a Kobe from here.
Yeah,
Kobe, no, that's a red.
Hey,
Yeah, I see the spot.
Hey, Herman, can you, yeah, that's
It's a redfish, right?
it looked like a Kobe.
Well, it's just the lighting.
Aren't they supposed to have 5?
Okay, cameras weren't as good then as they are
They don't
now.
always have it. And sometimes they have 5.
Okay,
I've seen some that have
So-
questions outside one second.
then I'm thinking, all right, this guy caught in Matlacha 2 to 3 weeks before Carlos caught in Everglades City, 2 to 3 weeks before you got in Flamingo, up around, let's just say Ponce de Leon Bay, generally, right?
A creek.
So, huh?
A creek.
Okay, so, and you haven't hit them since then, have you?
Not hard like
Yeah,
that.
no, not hard like that. And you? And like I said, it's been 10 years, and I've been to that spot 1,000 times.
I've seen waves of them coming through, not where Carlos was fishing, but they weren't in that area where he found them.
Yeah?
But they were just out on the flat, just like moving across the flat in front. I've seen several of those birds move across.
Okay,
Just
so,
late for a funeral.
It was several weeks ago. I told you they were all over.
like this, right?
I wasn't seeing them like that. I was seeing them sort of like all in a line, sideways.
Like that, right? Yeah. Yeah, they're in a line because they were working their way up to the canal.
They weren't in the
Yeah.
They weren't serious. They were in the front.
Look at it there. All you need is a club to throw out there, right?
In the 80s, we were at a fishing tournament for Flamingo at Middle Cape.
Yeah,
We saw a big dark cloud.
Yeah.
Out on marker.
yeah,
We went out to it, and there were big redfish. We saw 4 of them.
yeah,
In the neighborhood, 30 pounds. Never seen them again.
right.
You know, one of those things that
I know. You see them once,
never saw them again.
you never see them again.
Because the cloud had to be a square mile. I think it was just.
All right, I thought I had another one, but I don't guess I do. Okay, so then here's our buddies at Salt Strong, right?
What's going on, Salt Strong Nation? Today I wanted to talk to you guys about the bull redfish migration. I received a question from one of our new insiders who's new to fishing in general, and he didn't know too much about bull redfish, and he knew that there was a big surge during the migration and that a lot of people catch them when they do migrate. So I wanted to make this video not just to help him, but anybody who's wondering about migration, whether you're a veteran or a new fisherman, to understand the where, the when, and the why of the bull redfish migration. So let's go ahead and dive in. So let's go ahead and start with the when of the migration. And that's actually triggered by colder weather. So typically it's going to be in the fall, switching from that warm weather to the cold weather. That's what triggers that migration. It's going to be different depending on where you live in the country. So the mid-Atlantic typically experiences the spawn first because we experience the colder weather first. And moving down into Florida, it'll be a little bit staggered behind the mid-Atlantic. So, you'll experience it a couple weeks later. And then on the Gulf side, you're moving over into some warmer water, so that temperature does not drop as fast. You could be a week or two behind the East Coast if you're in the Gulf, in West Coast Florida or the East Coast of Texas. So it's really going to depend on where you live. I'm not going to give you guys a specific temperature range because it's very different depending on where you live. So really what we're going to see, and I'll just give you some specific time ranges, in the mid-Atlantic, typically the spawn will take place in early September through early October. And then it's going to peak off, after a couple of weeks and then die down. And the east coast of Florida, we're going to see it happening, in late October, possibly early November. and then going into the west coast of Florida and Texas, just because you guys have similar temperature ranges, we're going to see that the spawn is actually not going to start until early November, possibly even late November, and then it's going to peak off, a couple weeks after that. So in Texas, there have even been reports of the spawn not taking place until the winter time. So, in the December months. So it really is going to depend on the temperatures that year. It's a lot based on the weather. So you need to understand what the typical ranges have been in past years. You can go to your local tackle shop and ask when the spawns have really kicked off and what those temperatures have been. The best knowledge is local knowledge, but understanding the specific ranges will help you narrow down what time frames you really want to go target these big reds. So now to touch briefly on the why of this migration, and this part's really important to understand when we start looking at where we're going to find these big bulls. Really, they're moving to spawn. This is the best time of year for those big females to spawn. They're going to move in schools of 200, 300, up to 400 fish in a single school, all the way to the area that's going to provide the best dispersion of their eggs when they do spawn. And there's a lot of really big bait fish that are inshore that are going to be providing them with a really good high calorie meal. So this is really, when they take their long spawning journey, they're going to need a lot of, high calorie food to keep up with what's going on. They're going to be very hungry, very aggressive. So this is just ideal conditions for them to be moving. There's a lot of good food for them to eat, and it's just optimal conditions for them to spawn. So now when we look at the where these fish are going to be, they're going to be in the passes and the inlets. This is going to ensure that those egg clusters from the redfish are as widespread as possible. If they were all to just go lay their eggs in one single area, there would be a lot of competition amongst the baby red drum for food, and most of them would likely die. So being able to spawn in an area like a pass or an inlet where the eggs can get distributed over multiple areas and make sure that there's several ranges of different redfish that don't have to compete as much for food ensures that the population of the redfish is going to have a healthy and big stock of the next generation. So understanding why these fish are moving to the passes and inlets is very important, because then we can see where the highest amount of current is going to be moving. If you have to choose between two passes or inlets, I would choose the one that gets more current flow, just because there's going to be a lot more fish that move there to ensure that their population is secured for the next generation. So that pretty much covers the science behind the migration. If you guys would like to learn more about how to catch them, we have tons of tutorials on how to do so with cut bait, live bait, artificials. You've even seen some of the footage in this video catching them on the slam shady, and it's really easy to get on these big fish. And if you would like to see those videos, visit us at saltstrong.com, where we have tons of courses, tutorials, and you can actually even get 20% off of the rods and reels that you're going to need to target these big fish.
Okay, so his theory is that they're spawning. Okay, I'll go even a little bit further beyond that. I got couple of articles, and I'll leave it alone. Okay, this is a guy, he's up farther north.
It's like Ron. Is that my brother?
It's like Ryan, right? Your brother. Gulf Coast Panhandle. Here's another one. They're all the breeders. Actually, our catch limits up to, 18 to
27.
27? That's before they become breeders. They're not old enough to be breeders. So when they get bigger than that, it's when they're actually the breeders. So
You'll
it's like,
find roe occasionally in one to 25 or 20.
yeah, but they're like 4 to 5 years old when they finally get to the breeding age. There's another one. I'm trying to find now what caught my eye with this. Spend most of their early life in the safety of shallow water and move out to deeper water once they reach sexual maturity. This happens when they reach 27 inches, around 3 to 4 years old. That's what we're saying, just speculating, okay? And grow over to 90 pounds if they're left alone.
Father, we need to teach our kids to be celibate until they're that age.
What's that?
Teach our kids to be celibate until they're ready to go out in the deep water.
Yeah. Okay, then one last thing, and then I'll leave it alone. Okay, so there's the little guy, right?
Wow, it's lots bigger than the
This one's 10 inches. Okay, 13 inches. 13. 13, 15 inches,
2-year-olds. Getting it to 2-year-olds.
22 inches. This one is 2 feet.
That's a 3-year-old.
Yeah. That's a keeper, right? That's in the slot.
That's it.
But we don't catch as many, say, 4 or 5 inch redfish down here as we do snook. What's an explanation for that?
The snook eat the reds.
Huh?
The snook eat the redfish. After the freeze that we had, it killed all the snook. The redfish exploded. They were everywhere. And now that the snook have recovered, they're eating the juvenile redfish. So I think there's a symbiosis between the two species. And
That means I can start using it.
it's more than symbiosis, it's a predator relationship, right?
It's not mutual. He's using it right.
Okay, he says they're known to make daily migrations, moving from deeper waters to shallow waters at sunrise for feeding, and then back out again in the evening. They prefer water temperatures that are warm. What else I want to show you? Juveniles consume small crabs. That's why they're up in the shallows. Tailing. What else? Make drum-like sounds. Okay. So I'm sort of ready to just talk about it at this point. So I think they school. I think they have a tendency to school, certainly the big ones. I don't think they're singles. I think they hang out in schools out in the Gulf. I think they'll come up to feed in the creeks on the crabs and the finger mullet. Where I caught them, they were on finger mullet. They were finger mullet coming out. And they go up there to feed because they spawn in the shallow water, probably, and they lay their eggs up there. And so the juveniles will be raised inside the mangroves. There's a school of redfish.
I thought I could be wrong on this, Herman, but my recollection is that they spawn out in the Gulf and the currents carry them in. And what I heard is that after a hurricane, sometimes the hurricane will wash a whole lot of fry in, and that really helps the recruitment. And then you get a big bumper crop.
Okay.
And so you got to have the right currents to bring in the larvae or fry, because they are spawning out in the Gulf.
Well, what I observed was the whole school going up out of the Gulf into the creeks.
I would guess that's feeding, but I don't know. I mean,
Well, number one, they're hanging together out in the Gulf.
but I've heard they
Right.
spawn offshore.
In my experience, I have not seen them as singles. They'll be maybe spread out on the flat, but they're still in a common area. And so I think they have a tendency to school, whether in the deep water or up on the flats.
Well, they start pulling, according to Luke Simons, who had another video on these guys, he says they start schooling up about this time of year, and you start seeing them on the outer islands and the 10,000 islands.
Yeah, but you see, he caught his at the end of July, and his in the 1st of September, and this other guy was 2 or 3 weeks ahead of that. It was 2 weeks ahead of Carlos.
But if we're talking about the breeders, those are not really the ones we're catching. Breeders
Yeah, yours were 30 inches long.
not that long.
No?
No, they were in the slot.
Okay, so then maybe they were just up feeding in the canal then.
Perfect.
But still, they're coming out of the Gulf, right? They're not resident in that canal.
That I agree with.
Okay.
For breeding, I think, I don't think I catch many breeders where I'm fishing. Now, I've seen videos of guys fishing in the Gulf, not far from where we're fishing, a few hundred yards off the shoreline,
Yeah,
and they're catching breeder redfish.
the big ones out
The
there.
big ones.
But they're so, I'll call it social, because they seem to hang in schools rather than as singles.
Sure.
and I read one of these, it says they're pelagic, but the school is pelagic. They hang together, and that's why my supposition is, they maybe move up and down the coastline, whether it's for bait, at the same time you were catching Everglades City, I was up behind Sanibel, and there must have been 10 million pilchards. 10 million pilchards in the flats up there. The water looked like fizzy water, bubbling, there's so many pilchards. And no real predators in there at the time. I caught, a trout and a ladyfish, and that was it. But, I mean, there were so many bayfish, so I'm not sure. And, again, I'm not saying this as an authority. I'm saying this more in a statement of a question. If the pilchards move up and down the coastline, too. I don't know.
Oh, they definitely do.
They're out, and they come in anyway, because I've seen them offshore at East Cape. You see huge schools of pilchards out there sometimes. So they may be washing, and then the big schools may be following them for bait. Okay, and them going up into the creeks, they're going to be after crabs. They're really not going to be after pilchards. They'll be after pilchards in the shallows out on the flats out front. So, I mean, ultimately it's fishing, it's not catching, right? And you got a 10 million acre ranch. Where are the cattle at any given day of the ranch, right?
But all that shift is with water temperature, right? And temperature in the environment.
Yeah, but you were in July. It was 93 degree water, right?
Correct.
That's what Phil. You went down there. You measured. It was 93 degrees. Lucas, you were probably in 90 degree water. And
You always think that's too hot to eat. Usually at 90 degrees, you put fish in the flat part. I've caught redfish in 55 degree weather at Flamingo, but that's rare. It's very rare because the shell off is always in 60 degrees.
yeah, well, they'll stay out in the deep water to stay warm, right? In the same way.
I've been at Spiegel's Ditch and had more fish, 100 silver releases in one morning.
Yeah.
But it's funny.
You think it was one of those big schools
hot.
like this? You think it was one of those big schools like this coming in there?
Well, I know that John Trail caught 4 redfish over 30 pounds in Spiegel's Ditch 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I had break-offs, and I told him about it. He went fishing the next day. And he caught it.
He
No,
caught
I
it
didn't get a
with
redfish.
his 50-pound test, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what he did.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's fishing, it's interesting, it's puzzling, but I definitely think there's something to it where that guy, was 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, it was you. 3 weeks after that, it was you. And, you haven't seen him again since. Now, they may